I got to be honest and say I did not feel like recording a podcast episode today. But more importantly, I've got to be honest with myself and acknowledge that I wanted the podcast to have been recorded today, which puts me in a bit of a pickle because I'm the only one who could actually record it. And that is the point of this episode, to share with you a little bit of the behind the scenes. I love behind the scenes, like making of documentaries, especially for creative stuff. Like the one about the making of Frozen 2 comes to mind on Disney Plus. Anyway, the word of the year that has bubbled up, and I haven't tried to pick a word of the year in quite some time, but the word that has been clearly rolling through over here for 2026 is practice. Meaning, like, do the thing, even if there are cobwebs, even if it feels awkward or uncomfortable or unknown, just get it going and get the reps in. And that's what I'm doing here, because I'm also recording this in video, which I recorded the last episodes of 2025 in video too. And I've never recorded podcasts, at least these, for On Her Terms in video before. My point here is this episode is a little orientation and a peek behind the curtain to let you know that in 2026, we're trying something different with the On Her Terms podcast. Whereas I originally created the podcast in Lofi format, meaning I lowered all barriers to entry into recording every single one that was possible, to where all I needed to do was grab my phone, open Voxer, and hit that button and record and then upload. And that's what I did for about 100 episodes. And I love that, because lo-fi podcasting then became a thing, at least in our little On Her Terms universe, where it's all that it needs to be. It's like, if you have something that you want to say, then what's the simplest way for you to say it and share it in the form that you want to share it? That has been perfect until I started to feel frustrated by the fact that anything could be recorded at any time in theory. Like any idea or any inspiration could be a podcast idea. And it started to feel unbounded and uncontained in a way that didn't feel inspiring anymore. And it actually kept me from recording. And so what came through as an idea for 2026, so that I can practice being more consistent in my creative expression, and also documenting notes and reframes that have been very helpful to me in my personal life, for me, myself, my friends, my clients, my kids. I want to document these things consistently and regularly, but in a way that also serves and supports my life and blah, blah, blah. So the idea of a practice came to mind, where it's like, I have in my mind, I have 12 areas of life that are linked to, each one is linked to a month of the year. And in my own brain, that's how I've been thinking about things. Like January has become synonymous with spirit, February, love life, March, money, April, home, May, body, June, creativity, July, motherhood, August, mind, September, business or work, October, family of origin, November, community, December, friends. In my brain and in my body of work, in my practice, if you will. I'm even calling my business my practice lately. It's like, it's my creative advisory practice, how I'm working with clients, but then also the podcast is a practice, and how I'm recording it and experimenting to see how it goes. But that way of thinking just really helps my nervous system relax, to know that every little thing is going to have its turn and its spin of the lazy Susan, or the carousel of progress. If you listen to that episode, then you'll catch that reference, where it's like, I'll just keep knowing that everything's going to get its turn. I don't know how many turns I'm going to get in this lifetime, but the aim is, if I keep spinning this little carousel around and I keep giving everything that I care about some level of loving attention, then over time, my life is just becoming more and more my own. I'm becoming more and more myself. I'm getting clearer and clearer on what I even want that to look like and to feel like and to mean. And so it just made perfect sense to just give that a go with the On Her Terms podcast, with the public facing podcast. If I'm doing that behind the scenes with myself, my life, and with my clients, then it made sense to try that as a creative experiment and a practice for 2026 with the podcast. So that's what I'm sharing here, is that my aim and my vision for the On Her Terms podcast in 2026, and possibly beyond, but we'll see, is that each Monday I will publish a new field note or a thought on whatever that particular month's theme is. So each month will have its own little mini collection of, if I could only say 4 things or 5 things about this particular topic, what would I want to say? What would I want to bottle up and document? And it's kind of just like my own evidence of humanity and like my participation in our community, even though we're all over the world. If whenever you're listening to this, I'd love to hear where you are listening from, by the way. But I just feel like this is my way of showing up as a member of society. It's like an artifact that I'm documenting. It's still a practice in imperfectionism because I'm human, right? But that's actually what one of the next messages will be about, is the value of our humanity and just sharing from actual lived embodied experience in a world where intelligence is becoming cheap. Just lived embodied experience that has been metabolized through human life, I think will become more interesting and more valuable than ever. So this will be, and it already is, the On Her Terms podcast already is basically an archive of sorts, and my digital footprint, and in a public notebook where I'm just storing notes to self that I think that you and me might benefit from revisiting. And so it's still going to be that, but I'm just offering a little bit of organization to the thoughts and to the themes. Because like I said, for me, I realized, oh, it's all this creative open loop, like so many creative open loops and tabs open. And I've mentioned this before in previous episodes, where it's like, I know that there's something in me that feels more alive and more myself when I close that loop and I actually document a thought and share it out with you so that you can interact with it and see if that feels true for you, or take it and then expand on it and change your thinking about something, or reinforce your thinking about something, or start an actual conversation, two-way conversation with me. That's always been something that shifts my mood and energy. But this year I'm going to be experimenting with how me recording and publishing with a regular cadence, what does that look like, and what does that lead to? I think physiologically, I know just recording the episodes that I recorded at the end of 2025 to bottle up those lessons, I knew I wanted each one of them to live outside of my brain, notebook, and private conversations. And that was a huge energy lift. And then I was like, oh shoot, it's already almost Monday, first Monday of 2026. It's time for me to record. So that's why I'm here, because just like if a kid doesn't feel like brushing their teeth, we can say that's okay, because we have mom brain, that executive center, that knows it's important that they brush their teeth. That's basically what I did for myself today, was to snooze the excuse and to let mom brain and take over, to say, that's okay. You don't have to feel like recording the podcast. You just got to start. And doing it, I knew, because I've done this enough, hundreds of times between this one and Nap Time Empires, like I know that when I actually follow through with something that I said I wanted to do and I meant it, it's not like if you follow through on something that you said you would do, but you don't actually care, you don't get the same ROI, right? It's not the same benefit. But when there's something that you care about doing and you tell yourself you're going to do it, you could give yourself a permission slip not to do it. You could do that. But if you're really honest about it, it's not a true relief that you feel. It's just like that. There's basically nothing that can scratch that itch of doing the thing that you said you wanted to do. You could tap on it, you could journal on it and whatever, but the actual action of following through with the thing in whatever form and capacity that you have to do it, that's the only thing that can scratch the itch. That's the only thing that can close the loop. That's the only thing that can actually give you that sense of satisfaction and ultimately self-trust, right? So it's a creative practice, but it's also a self-trust experiment. And I'm very curious to see what I do and how this recording system evolves over the course of the year, because I'm like, in my mind, I feel like it would be ideal to record these podcasts when I'm in week 2 of my cycle, clear skin, peak energy, and all the kids are in school and I have a quiet house. That would be ideal. Today, that is not the case. I am in my Eeyore slump energetically. The house is full. We're still on the holiday break and the tail end of the holiday vortex of who am I, where am I, when am I? But at the same time, that's kind of perfect, because that's the point of the practice. It's showing up even on the days when I don't feel like it. So I get it, universe. I see the divine order here, that this was the way that I needed to break the seal for this practice in 2026. even when I didn't feel like it, to just go ahead and press record anyway, so that I will feel so much better whenever this is out and potentially in your earbuds. Of course, whenever you're listening to this, it may be years from now into the future, but at least the energy of actually doing the thing tonight is captured here. It's like metadata along with the message. So that's the plan. I wanted to keep you in the loop and let you know that this is a loop. This is another thing that I mentioned, the visual of like the spiral kind of Christmas tree where our pure essence is at the base, the gift emoji. And then it's that spiral Christmas tree that's going up and up and up. And every year, every time we revisit another area of life, we'll have, more context, more experience, and whatever. And those little light bulb moments that are going along in that spiral on its way up, and we'll have little memories as little ornaments along the way up. And that's all that I'm doing here. Another phrase that came to me in the last couple of years is like info art. So I'm just sharing a lot of words, right? But it's about the way that I'm organizing my thoughts and ideas. And so it feels fun to me to think of myself as an info artist. So these are like my little albums and mini collections. And I'm hopeful that I have many years to come, MANY, many years to come to continue to add to this living library and to this archive and to field notes that hopefully my kids will listen back to one day if and when they want to. But in the meantime, my intention is that each of these 52 episodes coming in 2026 will be representative of some of the most useful thoughts and reframes or experiences that I've had when it comes to thinking about these particular areas of life. So that's my intention. I'm not sharing that for external accountability at all, because that would make me want to run for the hills and I wouldn't like it. I would probably rebel against it. This is a practice, like I said, for me, of following through, self-trust, but also seeing how fun I can make it and how I can make it like a ritual and something that I really look forward to doing, and practicing with that idea of more prep, more presence, and knowing that like I'm going to get into a groove and kind of figure this out. And then maybe to the point where next year I would even want to have more than one episode a week. I don't know, but I know that I have a lot to say and a lot to share on all of these topics. And the idea of giving each little theme a space to breathe and to shine feels just very energizing. So I'm hopeful that whatever I'm sharing is going to connect with you in whatever way that it needs to, and that you will respond, reach out, click a link wherever, if and when that happens, so that we can continue the conversation offline. And yeah, that's it. A practice, a new creative practice for 2026. It's already happening. Thank you for being part of it and spending at least some of your time with me. And stay tuned to see how this goes.